Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to be talking about empowering rate design with advanced analytics. A little bit of background on the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, which we also call LADWP. We have 1.6 million electric services, and we have about 600,000 water services, and that's for the whole city of LA. And what that means is that we have a lot of multi-family residences within the city of LA because they don't have their own water meter. So we have a tremendous amount of electric meters. Today I'm going to focus on electric rate design. So electric rate design is at the core of how utilities recover their costs. It's more than just setting prices. The way rates are structured directly influences consumer behavior. It shapes energy usage patterns and ultimately impacts how efficiently the grid operates. In California, Proposition 26 requires municipal utilities to base their electric rates on the actual cost of service. This ensures that what customers pay fairly reflects what it costs to generate and deliver electricity. Transparent pricing like this isn't just good policy, it's essential for equity and for maintaining the reliability of the grid. To support this, we rely on a wide range of data sources. We pull AMI smart meter interval data from a Microsoft SQL database, giving us detailed insights into how and when customers use electricity, and I'll talk about that more in a future slide. We also incorporate customer demographics and segmentation, billing and revenue data from our Oracle system, as well as seasonal and hourly temperature data and generation and distribution pricing, which I forgot to put distribution pricing in there as well. We're a vertically integrated utility, so not only do we distribute the energy, we also generate the majority of our own energy, and we own and transmit our transmission lines. All of this data feeds into advanced analytics that are transforming how we design rates. Using SAS, we're able to process large volumes of data efficiently, uncover key usage patterns, and apply sophisticated modeling techniques that drive more equitable rate structures. For example, it supports dynamic pricing models like time of use and real-time pricing, which send better price signals to customer, and it also improves cost allocation, helping ensure each customer class pays its fair share based on actual usage patterns. With better demand forecasting, we can plan for future energy needs more accurately, and with data-driven rate models, we can determine our revenue requirements. And for this, we have SAS Enterprise Guide that we're using, as well as SAS Energy Forecasting. And we use this for our long-term energy forecasting. So we have another group within the power system that does our short-term forecasting. One challenge with our load profile data is that LADWP has not yet fully implemented a smart grid AMI system across the city. So currently we rely on cellular AMI technology. So we have our medium and large commercial customers have AMI meters, but only a small portion of residential customers and small commercial customers are equipped with AMI meters. So we need to estimate interval data for those groups. The objective of this analysis was to estimate missing load profiles from, I don't know if did that advance when I hit that button? Sorry about that. I don't know how to get this thing to scroll down here. Oh, here we go. Got it. Okay, sorry. The objective of this analysis was to estimate missing 1 hour interval data from missing or faulty communication AMI meters, using data from operational meters in a specific area of Los Angeles. So our goal was to create a complete 24-hour load profile. To do this, we applied group linear regression hour by hour over a 1-year period. For example, the chart here shows the analysis for the hour between 7 and 8 a.m. The dependent variable was the average kilowatt hour delivered to non-solar residential customers only, and the independent variable was the same hour readings from meters that were communicating properly, located in the same geographic areas and with about the approximate same sized homes. We excluded intervals with partial or no data from the training process. The goodness of fit metrics showed that the model had acceptable predictive accuracy for operational needs, allowing us to impute missing values effectively. This enabled us to reconstruct a complete hourly data set for a 600-meter group of customers and calculate a more accurate and representative 24-hour load profile. We then applied the same process for solar residential customers. Although solar customers make up less than 10% of our overall territory, their impact on the total system load is relatively small. And this is due to the fact that we do have a lot of multifamily customers within our territory, and it's more difficult to have to incentivize the apartment buildings and multi-residential homes, condos, and townhouses to put up solar panels versus the single-family residential. So in certain areas with higher solar penetration, their data has a more significant effect on the local system load, even though the overall territory, it has a small impact. So after estimating the 24-hour load profile using grouped linear regression, we scaled it with monthly meter read data available for the entire population. This helped eliminate any bias in the sample and ensured the profile accurately reflected the total non-solar customer population. To minimize distortion from outliers, we use the median distribution of residential meters instead of the average, which could have overestimated usage in certain months. We also used a histogram to visualize the frequency of consumption across the population. By scaling the estimated hourly profile to align with actual monthly totals, we effectively connected the detailed hourly data with real monthly consumption, ensuring both accuracy and consistency. Oops, I lost my little pointer here. So, as you can see in the graph, we have two key components displayed. The marginal cost curve, which reflects the cost of energy generation by hour across the year, and the system load profile with 95% confidence intervals, which shows the hourly variation in system load throughout the year, with a particular focus on peak variability. So the system load profile in purple illustrates how demand fluctuates hour by hour over the year. Notice that during the night and early morning hours, the confidence intervals are narrow, indicating low variation and relatively stable load. On the other hand, the daytime hours shows much wider confidence intervals that you can see there during the late afternoon and early evening hours, which indicates a more high difference between the load over the year, the load variation over those hours. Okay. By analyzing the system load alongside the marginal cost data, we gain a clearer picture of our revenue needs and cost recovery strategies for rate design. The higher variability we see during the peak periods is directly linked to increased system costs, particularly when it comes to procuring energy, expanding distribution capacity, and maintaining infrastructure resilience. This analysis provides a solid basis for implementing time-varying rates, which can send price signals to customers, encouraging them to shift or reduce their demand during these costly peak periods. This approach helps control investment needs, it promotes more efficient use of the system, and ultimately contributes to better cost recovery and system reliability. So to support our seasonal rate design and time differentiated pricing, we used a k-means clustering to identify time of use periods based on system conditions. This clustering was performed on hourly data, incorporating key factors like marginal cost, system load, and the combination of the two, the marginal cost times the system load, which serves as a proxy for system stress and demand-side load dynamics. By including both supply-side cost signals and demand-side load patterns, we are able to better capture the real drivers of energy usage and cost. The k-means clustering grouped hours of the days into distinct TOU periods, off-peak, mid-peak, and high-peak, allowing us to reflect seasonal variation, so we have summer, winter, by performing the clustering separately for each season. To ensure the outputs were refined, we adjusted the probabilities for each time period by using weighted annual averages of both marginal cost and system load. This way, we gave more weight to the hours that have a greater impact in terms of cost and system load, making the TOU boundaries more accurate. The result was a set of TOU time ranges that closely align with actual system stress and cost drivers. These insights allowed us to design cost-reflective rates, which not only signal customers when energy use is most expensive or impactful, but also support cost recovery and encourage demand shifting to lower cost periods, optimizing both system performance and energy efficiency. Now keep in mind that within LADWP, since we don't have a huge solar penetration within the city, we don't have that severe duck curve yet. So as more and more customers start coming in, we'll probably start seeing it. And we've seen it transition over the years, but it's still not there where we're going into the negative or we're seeing that big dip, especially in the wintertime. During the summer, when everybody's using air conditioning load, you barely see it at all. And then during the winter, you see a very slight dip, but nothing significant as a lot of utilities are now seeing. So principal component analysis. The objective of this PCA for load profile modeling was to identify key factors influencing our hourly load profile. Using the PCA procedure in SAS, we were able to reduce the complexity of our data while still preserving the key patterns that are crucial for our modeling. Essentially, this approach helped us identify which parameters have the most predictive power while filtering out those that might just be random noise. By doing so, we were able to uncover the dominant patterns and groupings among the variables that influence demand. Our key findings reveal that the first principal component, or PC1, explains the largest portion of the variance in our data, followed by PC2 with the remaining components contributing less and less. We found that the variables like hour sine and hour cosine, which represent that time of day pattern, as well as temperature sine and temperature cosine, which captures that seasonal temperature cycles, have high loadings. This indicates that cyclical and temporal factors are significant drivers of load behavior. Through PCA, we confirmed that factors like daytime hours and seasonal cycles play a central role in shaping the load profiles. By focusing on these components, we can simplify our models, reduce redundancy, and improve forecast accuracy. Additionally, the outputs from PCA provide valuable insights for selecting the most relevant features and making our models easier to understand in tasks like regression or clustering. Okay, so the graphs here show that hourly average temperature across all weather stations within the city. We're capturing temperature variations throughout the day, each one of those representing an hour. This data is crucial for understanding the impact of temperature on our system demand. So to analyze this, we created a 24-hour distribution of annual temperature data. We collected hourly temperature data for the entire year and grouped it by the hour of day to capture daily temperature patterns. This distribution helps us observe typical temperature ranges, and the frequency of extreme temperatures during key demand hours. And you can see where those graphs are really stretching out and hitting a lot of the higher temperatures on the right side there. The purpose of this analysis is to better understand how temperature aligns with our system load, particularly during hours where cooling or heating needs are most sensitive to temperature changes. It also helps quantify the temperature-driven portion of peak demand. This information is valuable for weather normalization, in load forecasting, as well as for demand response planning and adjusting TOU rates during temperature-sensitive periods. Ultimately, it enhances our ability to understand and manage the impact of climate on load variability. Okay, so here, this graph shows a heat map of EV pole top charging energy usage across Los Angeles, broken down by zip code. We created this map to provide a clear, intuitive, and location-specific view of EV charging station consumption, making it easier for stakeholders to understand the data. The purpose of this map is to enable cross-team decision-making, allowing both technical and non-technical teams like finance, operations, and planning to quickly assess usage patterns. And I wanted to share a story about this, why this data is so important, and it's because these pole top chargers were installed by another city department within the city of Los Angeles. This is through our street lighting group, and what they're doing is they're installing these on street light poles on the city streets. And so we were tasked with developing an electricity rate specifically for those chargers. So typically you'll see a pole with one single charger on it for one person to park on the street and plug in their charger. And they've been installing these EV pole chargers for about the last, I want to say 5 years. And they are being charged at a standard commercial rate. But they asked us to create a pilot rate for these pole top chargers because some of them were not being used, some were being vandalized, and then some were being used quite often. And that's why we created this heat map to show where the higher usage was. The first step was to understand how these chargers were actually being used, and so that's where this map came in. It gave us a detailed view of usage at the zip code level, helping us make informed decisions about rate design. The key benefits of this heat map included regular monitoring of EV electrification programs' performance, supporting decisions on financial planning like rate recovery, maintenance scheduling, and expansion strategies in high demand areas. Ultimately, this map helps align program performance with strategic goals, ensuring resources are focused where they'll have the most impact. And another key point about this EV charger, single chargers, is that our billing system could not handle the data of how much these chargers were being used because we do not have an electric meter on them. So we're relying on third-party data of when the chargers were plugged in, when they were unplugged, and how much consumption was used. And so we had to take that information and we put it into SAS to actually create the amount of kilowatt hours used so that we could push it to our billing system in order to bill the other city department. Okay, this graph shows a box plot of EV charging providers' energy usage by hour. So now I'm going into the companies that provide charging station locations. These are third-party owners of these charging stations that come in. They install these large charging stations, and we wanted to create a new EV charging pilot rate to encourage them to install more stations within the city of Los Angeles. So to do this, we first looked at the load profiles of existing EV charging stations in the city. By analyzing their energy usage, we created this box plot to better understand their demand patterns. So the plot reveals frequent but inconsistent high demand spikes with boxes clustered low and several high outliers. And you can see how the outliers are spiking out there. This indicates a low load factor, meaning that the peak demand is much higher compared to average usage, which leads to high demand charges despite low consumption use. Given this, under our standard rates, demand charges would be prohibitively high. So to address this, we designed a custom rate tailored to EV-specific load patterns with adjusted demand charges and a shift towards cost recovery based on the consumption. So basically what we did is we lowered their demand charges, increased their consumption charges. And this design encourages the adoption of commercial EV infrastructure when they first install them because people don't know about it, they're not being used, and then over time, as the customers start using them more, then they can transition off of that rate. The outcome was that it supported this early stage electrification, making EV charging financially viable. So as usage at that station grows and that load factor improves, customers can transition to standard rates, benefiting from more favorable pricing. And I'll show you that in the next slide. This strategy not only drives investment and support program growth, but also aligns with broader policy goals for transportation electrification. Okay, so this heat map shows the bill difference between the new EV pilot rate and our standard commercial electric rate. And we scaled this by the maximum absolute bill. And the scaling was used to allow for easier comparison of the differences across varying bill amounts, regardless of the actual values. So it helps highlight the proportional differences between the new EV pilot rate and the standard electric rate, showing where the differences are small or large in relation to the largest bill in the data set. So on the left side of this map, we have the ratio of days in the month. That's the ratio of days of usage that the charging station is being used. And then we have across the top the load factor. The center of the heat map represents the bill difference, with green representing savings and the red indicating increases in the bill. The pilot EV charging rate features a lower demand charge and a higher consumption charge compared to our standard commercial rate. As the usage of EV charging station increases and the load factor improves, the consumption charges will eventually exceed that demand charge. So that allows customers to transition back to the standard rates. This approach ensures that as the system evolves, customers benefit from more favorable pricing as usage becomes more predictable and efficient. This was a pilot program. It's very successful. In fact, all of our EV charging station providers are on this rate, and we have one that's actually transitioning a few of their charging station locations off of this rate because now the stations are being used quite often. In conclusion, through a combination of advanced analytics and data-driven techniques, we've been able to refine our approach to rate design. By leveraging methods like PCA, the grouped linear regressions, and other statistical tools, we've gained deeper insight into energy usage patterns, allowing us to design more accurate, cost-reflective rates. These techniques enabled us to account for variations in system demand, identify key drivers of energy consumption, and optimize our pricing strategies to support sustainable growth. Ultimately, our approach ensures that as usage patterns evolve, we can remain adaptable, offering fair and cost-based pricing. Thank you again for your time and attention. I'm happy to take any questions or just to discuss further how these analytic tools are shaping the future of our energy system.
Thank you, Mariko. We've got a question online from Benjamin Lobick from Avangrid.
Yes.
He's, I would think, asking about time of use. He's asking, what ratio of base to medium to high pricing are your tariffs to drive usage away from peak periods?
I would have to take a look at that. I don't know that off the top of my head. And we have not transitioned all of our time of use rates to our new cost of service study. So we're in the process of doing that.
Let me ask a follow-up
Yes.
question from my side. In order to determine those ratios, were you running multiple scenarios to see, at what point, what sensitivity basically you had for different levels of ratios?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I know that we were, in our new ordinance, we're aiming for 1.67 between our high peak and our base, 1.67 times. But I don't know what it is in our existing one because I wasn't overseeing that portion of it.
Okay. How did the 1.67 get selected then?
Selected?
Yeah.
We were looking at the cost basis for providing energy during our high peak versus our base period. And so we realized that we needed to, in order to maintain that cost basis, we had to have a 1.67 times.
Understood. Thank you.
Have these rates been received?
Hold on just a second. You mind repeating?
How have the rates been received?
We have not presented it to the public yet. We're still working on our cost of service study for the new rates. Our last rate review and rate ordinance change was back in 2020. 2020. So we're due for another one. Yes.
With that answer to his question, I don't know that you're going to be able to answer my question, but I'll ask it anyway.
Yes.
Would you, by any chance, happen to know what the average EV charging rate would be across what you've been able to collect?
The average EV charging rate.
Yeah, it's $1 per kilowatt hour.
I can look
Or
that
cents
up
per
for you.
kilowatt hour.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can look that up for you.
Sure, thank you.